You want to start off by rinsing your fresh produce under cool running water. That is your tomato, your lime, and your fresh cilantro. Now, there's not an exact amount for the fresh cilantro. I would just say a small bunch, about what I'm about to hold in my hand right here. You want to rinse it really good under the water, and then you want to shake off as much of the excess water as you can. We're going to go ahead and cook the quinoa first. So you are going to pour it into a bowl. It's way easier. I tried to get it out of the bag and I spilled quinoa everywhere. You're going to get a half of a cup dry measuring cup and make sure you have your offset spatula ready to level it off. Once that is done, that's half of a cup. You need twice the amount of liquid. So we're gonna go with 1 cup of vegetable broth and then you pour it in there. So bring that to a boil. I'm gonna have it at the front. You can just come and get a liquid measuring cup. You give it a stir and then bring it to a boil. Remember, the definition of boiling is when bubbles are constantly rising to the surface, like how it looks right now. Give it a quick stir and you want to cover it with a lid that fits properly. That is super important. You want to turn it down to 3, which is about a simmer, and set a 15-minute timer. Don't peek, don't open it because then the air gets out. Now we're going to start on the dressing. You're going to start by getting 1 medium-ish garlic clove. It's important not to get too big of one because it's really strong. So with your knife, the side of your knife, smash it gently. You don't want to do it too hard or else the garlic clove is going to fall apart. Make sure you remove all of the peel and clean off your cutting board. Then with your zester or microplane, you want to take the protective thing off. Guys, do not throw that away. That needs to stay on there. Then you're going to go ahead and grate very carefully, guys, so you don't cut yourself or cut your fingers. And you're going to do this over a liquid measuring cup. Now, the little pieces that you can't really get anymore without cutting yourself, you want to throw those away. So you can see me here, I'm trying to do a little bit more and then toss it out. At this point, most of the garlic is actually stuck in the microplane. So get a rubber scraper, have it ready, and use that to get it all off, just like that, and put it into your liquid measuring cup. Next, we're going to juice our lime. So what you want to do is you want to roll it around your cutting board and actually put some force on it. This loosens up the juices. Cut it in half and then directly over your liquid measuring cup. Now, I like to use tongs to help me here to squeeze. You put it in between the tongs and you squeeze it. Now, look what my thumb is doing. It's running over the bottom of it because I'm getting all that juice out. So turn it sideways the other way and then squeeze it that way too. Again, we're trying to get as much juice out as we can. The recipe calls for the juice of 1 whole lime, and the lime adds a whole bunch of flavor to this, so you definitely want to get as much juice out as possible. Go ahead and do it to the other side. Again, put it between, my thumb is running over the bottom, trying to get every bit of juice out. Then you take it out, turn it sideways, and do it again, shaking all the juice off that you can. Once that's done, you can go ahead and throw away your lime halves. Now we're going to add our spices and seasoning to the dressing. We're going to start with cumin. You want 1 teaspoon. Now notice I'm using the bar inside the little measuring thing to level it off for me. I need 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt. I'm using pink Himalayan sea salt. And same thing, I'm using that straight bar in there to level it off. The next 3 spices I have is coriander and black pepper and red pepper flakes. Each of those is 1/4 of a teaspoon. All we have left to add is the extra virgin olive oil. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons. Now, notice here I'm doing it directly over that. That's because I'm being very, very careful. If you don't trust yourself that you might overflow and spill some, then do it over a separate bowl. Once you're done adding that amount, you want to give it a really good stir and then set it off to the side. It's going to kind of marinate and the flavors are going to mix together while you're prepping your veggies. Next, we're going to prep our veggies. Now, we already have the quinoa, which has protein in it. We're going to add a second protein, which is going to be black beans. You only need 1/2 of a can per kitchen. So one kitchen's going to open the can of beans, just like I'm doing right here, and you're going to share the can with someone else. So what you want to do is you want to get your strainer and you want to pour about half of the can of black beans into there, making sure to do it over the sink because as you can see, there's water, and you want to rinse them until the water runs clear. Notice at the beginning it was kind of like brown and now it's clear. And then you want to tap it, shake it, bounce it, do whatever you got to do to get all that water out. You want the beans to be dry. The 15-minute timer just went off for the quinoa, so we're going to take off the lid and stir it with a fork. Now you can see that there's still liquid at the bottom, which means either one, it's not done, or two, we just put a little bit too much liquid. So the recipe called for 1 cup. I would say go a little bit short on 1 cup when y'all make it. So what we're going to do, we need all that liquid to be gone. So we're just going to leave it on the stove on uncovered the way it is until all that liquid is gone and it's dry. So we're going to go ahead and prep the tomato. Remember, we already washed this. You're going to cut it into quarters, meaning 4 pieces. Over your trash bowl, you are going to take out the seeds and all that juice that's inside the tomato. What this does is it would make it too runny, and the dressing is already wet enough, so we don't need that extra liquid. And I personally don't like the taste and the texture of the tomato seeds in my salad. Once you've gotten all the seeds out, you are going to small dice the tomatoes. Putting the skin side down, it makes it so much easier to cut, so make sure to do that. You're gonna cut it into long, thin julienne strips. Then you're gonna turn it sideways and you're gonna use your rocking motion with a knife and you're gonna cut it into small dice pieces. Go ahead and do the same thing to all of your pieces. And then I honestly go over it multiple times, just like when you're mincing garlic, to get it to be really small. The smaller the tomatoes, the less you notice it. Now, if you really love tomatoes, you can leave them in bigger chunks. But for those of you, which is I know a lot of you are really picky, the smaller you cut it, the less you notice them. I actually don't really like raw tomatoes, but when I cut them small, like in the salad, they kind of disappear a little bit and you don't taste them as much, but you're still getting all the health benefits from them. Now we're going to start to assemble our salad. So in a medium mixing bowl, guys, it needs to be either glass or metal. Do not use one of those colorful plastic bowls because the dressing has oil in it and the oil sticks to that plastic and it's really hard to clean and it absorbs smells. So please don't use that. Please use glass or metal like I'm using here. We're going to add the tomatoes right into the bowl, and then we're going to prep our cilantro. Now, you can use some of the stems, but there's a lot of stems in these, so cut a portion of it off. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab all of it and kind of squish it into a ball. Now, I folded it in half here. This is basically kind of like a chiffonade like we did before. You're going to use your rocking motion and go over the cilantro. Remember to be really careful when you get to your fingers, and then just the same way we mince garlic, go over and over and over it using your knife to scrape it into a pile, making sure to put your opposite hand, your non-dominant hand, on top of the knife so you don't accidentally cut yourself. Once the cilantro is pretty small, you're going to add it to that metal bowl with the tomatoes as well, making sure to scrape all of it off your cutting board so your cutting board is clean. Once the cilantro tomatoes are in your mixing bowl, you're going to add your black beans as well. I checked on the quinoa after a couple of minutes on the stove and the water had all absorbed. Now guys, you can tell when quinoa is done because you see those little white rings around it. That means it's done. If they haven't popped open yet, then they still need to be cooking. So at this point, honestly, it's better if you can stick the quinoa in the freezer for even like 5 or 10 minutes so that it can cool off. Since this is a salad, it's better eaten cold. We're going to go ahead and prep the avocado. Now, I'm going to have them cut for you at least the first half because you get half of an avocado per kitchen. Now, the way that I'm doing it right now is honestly a little bit dangerous if you're not really good at your knife skills. So I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm showing you your options because I know some of you do cook at home quite often. So you very, very carefully cut with the knife, make your slices one way and then go the opposite way, and then use a spoon to spoon it out, and they're already cut. The other way you can do is you can use a spoon and scoop all of it out, making sure to get any additional that's left in there, and then cut it directly on your board. Now guys, I don't care how you cut your avocado. If you don't want avocado, you don't have to put it on there. It's optional, but I think it makes it so much better. Now, the avocado is going to be a topping to your salad. So once it's cut, you just want to scoot it off to the side. You don't actually want to mix it in with everything or else it just turns into like creamy. So you have your quinoa that's been in the freezer or fridge for a couple minutes, and you want to pour all of it, making sure to get every bit of it out into your metal mixing bowl. Then you're going to get your salad dressing that you have in the mixing the liquid measuring cup off to the side. Give it a good stir to make sure it's all incorporated, and then you're going to pour that over the salad. Now guys, this is just like a normal salad, a salad dressing. You need to pour all the dressing over it and give it a really good stir. This is where most of your flavor comes from. Get a rubber scraper, scrape every bit of it out of there. Remember, we have the spices and the garlic and the lime juice and the olive oil. So give it a really good stir. Once you've stirred it really well, you can go ahead and serve it into your just normal size bowls. Now guys, this isn't a ton of salad if you're splitting this between 3 and 4 people. It's more like a snack. Now, if you were going to eat this for a meal, this might be a meal for 1 to 2 people, but there's a ton of protein in there. You've got multiple veggies, lots of flavor going on. If y'all choose to make the salad at home, you can totally pick whatever veggies you want to add in there. I added some cucumber to this afterwards and I really liked it. I know some people add bell pepper to theirs. It's just really whatever your taste is if you choose to make this at home. And it stores really good in the fridge for like 4 or 5 days. You can get it out. It's a really good meal prep. You can add it to tacos, all kinds of things. So what I'm doing is I'm just topping it with some avocado and some cilantro to look nice for food presentation, and it's ready to go. Now, this is a taco that I made with some of my leftover quinoa salad. I put some spinach down at the bottom. I put the quinoa salad with some cheddar cheese and some chicken, and then I made a chile and adobo sour cream sauce. It was so freaking good.